Hello and welcome. You're watching NewsX DeepDive. My name is Vineet Malhotra. For weeks, Jantar Mantar was more than just a protest site. It became the epicenter of one of India's biggest youth-led movements, filled with slogans, speeches, hunger strikes, barricades, police deployment, and thousands of students. Today, exactly 24 hours after those protests were called off, the story has changed completely. The banners are gone, the stage has disappeared, the tents have been dismantled, the walls are free of posters, the roads are being swept. Garbage trucks have replaced television, OB vans, and sanitation workers have taken over from protesters. This is not just a story about a protest ending. It's the story of how India's most iconic site of democratic dissent transforms overnight back into an ordinary public space. Yesterday, these roads echoed with chants. Today, they echo with the sound of brooms. The transformation is striking. Within just a day of the protest being withdrawn following the government's acceptance of key demands, municipal workers and volunteers moved in to restore Jantar Mantar. Authorities dismantled the protest infrastructure while sanitation teams began an extensive cleanup operation. Large garbage collection vehicles lined the roads, mechanical sweepers rolled in, sanitation workers cleaned every corner, road providers were dashed, plastic waste was collected, temporary structures disappeared. By evening, one of India's most politically charged public spaces had started to resemble its everyday self once again. But perhaps the most remarkable images did not come from government agencies. They came from the protesters themselves. Even before municipal teams completed their work, volunteers picked up brooms, collected plastic bottles, packed garbage into large bags, and swept the roads around the protest venue. Videos of students cleaning the very place where they had spent days protesting quickly spread across social media. Many users called it an example of responsible citizenship, that the same people who occupied public space also took the responsibility for restoring it before leaving. The cleanup itself was no small operation. The New Delhi Municipal Corporation intensified sanitation efforts around the site, deploying workers across multiple shifts, mechanized equipment and garbage removal vehicles. Officials said that the operation continued around the clock to restore normalcy as quickly as possible. Fogging, disinfectant spraying and continuous waste removal were also carried out to ensure hygiene after days of heavy footfall. And according to officials, dozens of tons of waste accumulated during the protest had to be removed before the area could be fully restored. The visual contrast is impossible to miss. Just yesterday, this space was overflowing with people. There were speeches from the stage, media crews occupied every available corner, security personnel stood shoulder to shoulder, supporters arrived from across the country. And today, the stage is gone. The loudspeakers are silent, traffic has slowly resumed. Tourists once again walk past the historic observatory. Office goers hurry through the same roads that only hours ago witnessed one of the country's largest demonstrations. Jantar Mantar has witnessed this cycle countless times. Governments have changed, movements have risen, demands have been made, victories have been celebrated, and after every agitation, the site eventually returns to normal. Each protest leaves behind memories, but physically the space is always restored. 24 hours ago, Jantar Mantar symbolized political mobilization. Today, it symbolizes restoration, from slogans to silence, from crowds to cleaners, from confrontation to cleanup as well. The story of Jantar Mantar is no longer about what happened during the protest. It is about what happened after it ended. A democratic movement concluded, a public space was reclaimed, and a city quietly returned to its everyday rhythm. With that, let's take a look at this ground report filed by my colleague Brian Thomas from the spot, documenting what happened.
At Jantar Mantar, and you can see the visuals clearly. All the protesters, just yesterday till afternoon, there were jam-packed people here. There was a stage ahead. Now the crowd has completely dispersed, and very importantly, you can see the cleaning process going on. I'll request Ankush to walk with me and show you the visuals also, what it looks like from inside the protest site, the Jantar Mantar. Just one day prior, there were ample number of people, tons of people here, and now everything is vacant. Now there is a cleaning process going on as we are speaking. Apart from that, there was a stage ahead where obviously the Cockroach Janata Party officials used to sit. You talk about Abhijit Dipke, you talk about Ashutosh Ranka, Saurav Das, they used to sit there, and now that stage has also been removed, and you can see the cleaning process is going on. There were many such protesters here. There was several barricading that was done ahead, even though there's barricading that is still in place. But There is obviously not much of any kinds of police security. The beefed up security was there, that has also been lifted. The stage have been lifted. Apart from that, behind also, I'll request Ankush to keep showing you these visuals, and you can see cleaning process is also underway. Cleaning process is also going on, as what we are trying to show you from here. There are NDMC vehicles, vans deployed here to clean this entire Jantar Mantar protest site. Since we are inside, we are trying to show you the visuals. Since obviously there was a joint press conference yesterday between the Cockroach Janata Party officials and the central leadership, where they officially announced the end of the protest. And now here, morning visuals, you can see in the morning visuals that none of the protesters are here at Jantar Mantar.
All right, let's also get a word in from our guests, try and understand how they are looking at this vacuum now, which leaves Jantar Mantar as an ordinary space. But is it going to be considered an ordinary space, considering that extraordinary things have happened from here, that of course the whole nation, perhaps even the world, is talking about? Mr. Gautam Mukherjee, senior journalist, is with us on the program. Advocate Chandni Shah, political analyst, joins us on the show. Dr. Syed Asad Abbas, political analyst, also with us on the program. Dr. Abbas, I'll begin with you. Well, it was a relentless movement. Jantar Mantar has always been, an epicenter of a democratic value which has been used time and again to show dissent towards the government. And India, like the democracy it is, you can't do something like this in Pakistan. You will be shot at, you will be killed, you will be put into jail, you'll never see your family again. India allows that dissent. It also goes on to tell you that democracy works and people can come forth if the leaders who were chosen to run this great country do not perform their duty. Dr. Abbas.
Absolutely, Vineet. Saab, I can't agree with you more on that front. सारे यहाँ से अच्छा हिंदुस्तान हमारा हम बुलबुलें हैं इस बुलबुल से हमारा. Undoubtedly, had it been our own country in Pakistan, they wouldn't allow any protest to take place. As a matter of fact, let us understand it is the beauty of our country, it is the beauty of the beautiful India, it is the coming together of youth, united youth, and being able to make this movement. Also, as a matter of fact, kudos to the young students who made this happen. जैसे कहते हैं कि जितेगी दुनिया जिताने वाला चाहिए. I'm glad that the might of the students, their non-stop protest for over a month, was able to bring this. And I believe that when the student representatives or the members of the CJP met with Sri J.P. Nadda ji and Jitendra Singh ji, they also gave a 5-point charter where in about 4 weeks from now, they will again meet. I'm glad that the Bharatiya Janata Party and the government has been open to reforms and all of the demands were taken into consideration and were rightfully implemented. I think the way ahead for any government that comes in is the BJP, Congress, AAP or any other government in any other state is responsibility. We're all scared now because this youth does not care about mere political parties. Any data of any party is making any wrong move, they will hold accountable. And I'm glad that the Generation Z is a generation not to be messed with. We are going to come, ask for accountability. And the best part we see in the students today is they're absolutely fearless. Nowhere in the history of the world such a movement could come in, where the student had to bend. Even in the Republican or Democrats or even in places like Australia or England or anywhere, something like this was achieved. But if the students of India are able to do this, I think it's a boost for all the students in the world that any wrongdoing by the government, any accountability that needs to be taken care of can begin here. And as the saying goes, change is the only constant. And I know Prahlad Joshi ji, who is a member of parliament from there, I stay closely. In the new, he's from Dharwad constituency. Let's hope that it's a great post. There's going to be a lot of responsibility on him now. Therefore, if there is responsibility, there is going to be huge power and accountability. Let's hope that he fits in well in this post. And under his ministership, we do not see any people coming from And not just that, all the reforms are taken into consideration and the right messaging goes out to all the students. Previously, also, you see, the man from Karnataka, Mr. Prahlad Joshi, has done a good job in his previous uh, holding of several other ministerships. So, this also is going to be a daunting one, a challenging one, because all the students are looking at it. So, therefore, let's wish him all the best and let's hope that he's able to make moves which are going to be in the best of faith for the students of India, and therefore there shouldn't be any other newspaper coming through. But one thing I must put on record, Vineet sir, just so I'm glad that there was a big dialogue taking place, there was an outreach taking place. Sonam Mangchukji, his life was in danger. I'm glad that he broke his fast. I'm glad also that there was a good outreach from the government in power and this was able to bring in an amicable solution. हम जिसको
All
कहते
right.
हैं कि लहरों से बढ़कर नाव का पार नहीं होती, हिम्मत करने वालों की कभी हार नहीं होती,
Okay. All
कोशिश
right.
करने वालों की कभी हार नहीं होती.
Well said, Dr. Abbas. Gautam, also the question on everybody's mind is that was this a one-hit wonder, or is this an MO that is perhaps also going to be utilized, in the future as well for, various reforms and causes? This is still an open question, and nobody knows the answer to that. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think in some cases, Generation Z is, enabling the political classes to act on items that are otherwise difficult, and they leave it alone because it's politically fraught. Now, for example, as of today morning, there is a movement again on Instagram calling for an end to reservations. Now, this is something I fully endorse. I was delighted to see it. There's only already about 9 lakh people at the point when I saw it endorsing it. Reservations are a destroyer of merit and they might have been valid 75 years worth, affirmative action, right the way from when we became independent, Ambedkar and so on. But today, when we boast of going into becoming the third largest economy and becoming a developed country by 2047, you're not going to get there by appointing people who are substandard just because of their caste and because of reservations. So to get rid of that, it's a political hot potato. So the political classes will say, oh, I don't know. But if General Z can push it, nothing like it. Beneath.
Chandni, what do you think? Is reservation an important topic for Gen Z to also pick up? I had this gentleman in my studio, Harsh. He's in fact been on several networks. He went on to say that he's from the general category. He's appeared in NEET examination thrice or more than that, but he's never made it. But people who have secured lesser marks than him, have moved on with not only their studies, but some of them have graduated and have flourishing careers now. And that is indeed, extremely painful to see that reservation is still continuing to meddle with merit, like Gautam said.
I have always been against reservation. I mean, when the reservation was was introduced, it was because there were a lot of dissimilarities between the classes of the people. Now, today, when I see a reservation, there's a lot of things now, Vineet. The creamy layer that we see, or we see that reservation is being taken by people who already are very affluent. They do not need any reservation anymore. So reservation, if any case, if you want to put reservation, I think it should only be on the basis of your financial status, the financial status of a student. There should not be any caste based reservation. I have always been opposing this. I come from a general category. I know the pain that a general category student goes through. It is so unfortunate that the SC, ST, OBC students can fill a form in the general category as well, apart from their own category, and they can take that seats also. Now, if anybody has been taking the burden of reservation, it's actually the general category in every means and in every ways. The number of seats that the general category gets is lesser. The number of they have to get more numbers in order to get a particular seat, and the same seat is given to a student with lesser number. I also have a lot of problems with reservation being given in streams like doctory, like engineering, and these are very, very important life-saving skills and streams. You see a doctor with minus 40 marks being a surgeon in your surgery. What is he going to do? An engineer who's given a bridge to build, हम कहते हैं why are the bridges, ये इतने ब्रिज टूट क्यों रहे हैं, ये इतने ब्रिज कोलैप्स क्यों हो रहे हैं, होंगे ही, इतनी मौत क्यों हो रही है हॉस्पिटल्स में, why are the doctors not so you know so इतने इतने अच्छे क्यों नहीं है डॉक्टर्स, कहाँ से होंगे? Because we have been enabling this system to give chance to people getting into positions of such power with such less numbers. You give reservation to bright students who do not have the capability of of paying the fees, of there should be a balance between merit and reservation. If there is merit, if there is no financial if there is financial issues with the student, there has to be a reservation for the student. That kind of reservation, yes, I do. The economic kind of reservation, yes, I do agree with that. But अगर एक IAS का बच्चा है, या उसकी जनरेशन 3 पुश्ते जनरेशन they are IAS and IPSs, the 4th generation, why do they need reservation? I have complete objection to that kind of reservation. Just because you come from a particular caste, you should not be liable to be given a seat. You mentioned about Harsh. There are some problems that he mentioned. I also heard him. The way he says that every state has different numbers where a student gets admission. Why
Every
is
state, every college has different
Yeah.
reservation rules.
Exactly. Why? If the student, for example, if a student is giving a central exam, the exam should have rules that it applies to every college or every state at every nook and corner. Why is it that even after giving a central exam, a student is literally on the roads for this? They should not be subjected to this. There should be a discussion of the government. I think the government, the real people that the government should conduct talks is with the students. The students know what kind of reforms they need. Nobody else can tell them. We did not have that privilege. We studied our way and we came out, and we did not have the luxury of reaching out to the governments and or doing all that. But the students today can do that. They have the power of social media. They have the
Let me
power.
get Dr. Abbas also to respond to this. Dr. Abbas, even Baba Sahib Ambedkar said that when he was framing the constitution, that maybe in another 10-15 years the reservation laws and provisions will need to be looked at again, and that was after 10 to 15 years of independence. It's been decades now. It's still the same.
Yes, Vineet. I was listening to Gautam Mukherjee, Chanisha, and they made some very valid points here. I will also make a very, I'd say, bitter, truthful point. Let me tell you this: no political party in India will allow reservation to go. Be it the BJP, Congress, AAP, SAPA, BSP, anybody. Because all political parties are thriving and waiting for the SC, ST, and other votes. And let us understand the large part of the beneficiaries are undoubtedly the scheduled class and the scheduled tribes. Let us also understand that reservation as an issue, like Shani made a very valid point, is that this needs to be discussed with the students on ground. I'm sure myself, Chani, Vinit Saab, Gautam Bhai, we've passed that age. Let there be an open forum, like Nadda ji has kept the door open for the CJP members. I think there needs to be an establishment, a dialogue, a fora of sorts, where all of this needs to be addressed to. As a matter of fact, many times I have already said what Gautam ji and Chani said, that yes, reservation should be there for me. Somebody who can't afford the fees. Somebody who's in the EWS category, which is economically weaker section of society. There, it's a lot more prevalent. But I know a lot of SCs who are billionaires, millionaires, whose ancestry have made huge money. How does that guy get lucky here? I don't understand. So therefore, if it is for a weaker section of economy, I'm all for reservation for those who deserve it that way. But if somebody who's already in a position of privilege, why would you need reservation? I feel that is not, that is absolutely wrong. Therefore, Vinit Saab, I agree with you. Like Ambedkar ji said, that for the after 10, 15, 20 years, things might change. It needs to be addressed, readdressed again. Yes. But also, this would upset a large contingent of the voting from the SCs and STs. And let me tell you, even if tomorrow the UPA Congress comes into power or a Samajwadi Party comes back in power in UP, mind you, no political party will set the cat among the pigeons to lose out on the SC, ST vote front. Ask any politician off the record, he will tell you the truth, what I have just told you now. And it's not as easy as we are debating. Of course, there are still a large majority of students who deserve it even in the SC, ST category, who are still in the much lower strata of the society. But I feel they must be put in the EWS section, which is the economically weaker section. There are also a lot of my friends who are in the SC, ST, and their families are still not up to the mark. Therefore, I'd say it's still open to discussion, open to debate. I would say a welcome would be where Nadda ji welcomes this as a discussion, but larger and complete abolishment of this वो तो नहीं होगा, ना मोदी जी से होगा, ना किसी से होगा. वो सबको SC, ST के वोट्स प्यारे हैं. That's the truth, which any politician will agree with you, Vinit sir, of the record. So
what I have learned after the CJP protest, Dr. Abbas, this is also going to be my parting note to you, is like that James Bond movie, Never Say Never.
Yes.
Right? So on that note, we'll wrap up this conversation, but thank you for those insightful points. We'll take a short break now. Be right back.
Basic 6